Hello and welcome to the Alexandra Wenman show from London. I am so delighted to introduce you to Raewyn Guerrero of WellWorks. Ray and I have known each other for a number of years, but I'm so excited to have her on the show. So Ray, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. We've got a beautiful day here in London.
No, it's a bright sunny day. We've
Yeah.
come across, we're sitting in the park just across from my office in Victoria. Managed to find a lovely bench to sit on. But I want to know all about you. Can you tell our viewers about you and your work, what you do at the moment, and how you can be of service to them?
Okay, so first of all, thank you again for the opportunity for being here. I think it's important for everyone to know that, I've lived probably a few lives since I've been in London. So I've been here since 2001, and it's been 17 years, studied psychology, and was really interested in making a difference in how people were thinking, because I was seeing so much anxiety around me. I grew up in a household where generalized anxiety was undiagnosed for many years, and my grandfather, unfortunately, he suffered from dementia as a result of sort of being put on pharmaceuticals rather than going through therapy. So I was really motivated from that perspective to get very involved in the connection between the mind and the body, and how you can use either therapy, counselling, hypnosis, which is what I ended up falling into, or it found me.
It's always the way, isn't it?
Always the way. And yeah, CBT and hypnosis was sort of the way that I started learning how to manage anxiety and helping people around me manage anxiety. So I generally work with people with sleep disorders, insomnia, obviously, anxiety, panic attacks, depression, personal development, just about getting the best out of someone and helping them realize that, if they're taking care of themselves and prioritizing their self-care, then they can achieve anything. And then WellWorks kind of evolved after, I spent a number of years in banking, ironically.
I was going to say, because you were always in corporate and finance, in those sorts of companies, and then you've had this whole evolution to coming full circle and doing the work that you do now.
Yeah, so it's been a hell of a journey, I have to say.
So how did it affect you being in those sorts of organizations?
I think really quickly I realized, I was like, oh my God, like we are living ourselves into early graves. We're living ourselves into, to being stressed, to not breathing properly, to not eating properly, to, opting for convenience as opposed to, actually nurturing ourselves. So I think when I was working and having 3 meals a day at my desk, that was definitely something, a bit of a wake-up call, when you kind of realize, what am I doing? And all the food, none of it's being prepared by me, and then realizing the impact that was having on my own digestive health, my own psychological health. And ironically, like I said, I was running a well-being program.
It is so ironic, isn't it? You're running a well-being program and then running yourself into the ground, literally. Yeah. Because you become part of that treadmill within the company, don't you? That psyche is prevalent.
Yeah, I think, the culture of corporate is, achieve, get more done. But it's, we have to always stop and ask the question, at what cost? Is it worth it if we actually start sacrificing our own health? So when I had that eureka moment for myself, I think one day I was just like, what am I doing?
It's amazing though, because it's almost like if you hadn't have been in that environment and working all those hours and experiencing that, would you have had that epiphany? Would you have had that eureka moment? It's almost like sometimes we get squeezed into a corner, don't we? And we go, you have to kind of be squished in order to break out sometimes.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, you have to get to that kind of tipping point. And unfortunately, it feels like a lot of people need to get there. Because, I preach prevention now, as much as possible, preventative lifestyle medicine. But for whatever reason, no one really listens until something actually dramatic happens to them or to someone they know. And then they get their wake-up call and they get their, we call it a Damascus moment. You get your Damascus moment. You're like, okay, I need to change something, maybe everything. And now I help people go through that process as a health coach. So I retrained as a functional medicine certified health coach. I'll explain a little bit about what functional medicine is, because I'm pretty sure.
You have quite a multi-layered approach, don't you?
Yeah, so it's very, very holistic. I come from the mindset aspect with the CBT, and then the functional medicine side looks at sort of like altering biochemistry through nutrition, and also managing stress. So yeah, so looking at those, just that whole the whole picture. It's a whole person approach. That's what essentially functional medicine is about. It's looking at the why as opposed to the what. And we're looking at the whole person and the interplay between their genes, their environment, their lifestyles, the relationships that they're in, what's nurturing them, what's nourishing them from a food perspective, as well as, you know, a lifestyle and spiritual perspective even. You know, how are you actually looking after yourself? What are you doing that gives you joy? What gives you energy in your life? So yeah, so it is very holistic. I sometimes refrain from saying that word because people can tend to kind of park it as not being academic or scientific, but in lots of ways it is very evidence-based. We use very advanced diagnostics. We look into your DNA, we look into your gut health, into your hormonal health, and I work with 3 practitioners who do the diagnostics. So one's a GP, 2 are nutritional therapists, and they actually help with that. And then I help with the coaching aspect afterwards. We set goals and we help you achieve those, and look, you know, what are your barriers to success? What are the things in your life that are going to, you know, that might actually impact? And sometimes quickly people realize, oh my God, my job is the thing that's really stopping me from taking good care of myself. And then, you know, we have to kind of come to some sort of conclusion. Well, either you're going to transition out of it eventually, and then I help them with the transition, or we help them cope through if they currently have to stay in that space. You know, what can they do to sustain themselves through meditation or through, you know, through Pilates, through activity, and obviously through food.
It's brilliant. I think more and more we're understanding now that, you know, science and energy is one and the same. You know, there's so much research into quantum physics happening these days, and I mean, my channel is quite a spiritual channel, but I think that more and more we're getting the evidence that we need, that our emotions sit at the seat of everything and at the core of everything. It's if you're not feeling good, you have to look at those lifestyle factors that are creating that experience for you.
Yeah, I think it's important as well to realize that the relationship between the brain and the body, it's bi-directional. So emotions will affect what's going on with your gut and what's going on with the rest of your body, and in the same way, you will have what's going on with your gut is going to influence what's going on with your brain. So whatever you're feeding yourself is going to play a really big part in that, which is why food is, I say food is medicine, but it can also equally be poison. So if you're mindful of what you're consuming, it's going to have a very big effect on how you feel. So food and mood are intrinsically linked in that way. And the easiest way to actually make that link is, you know, people who suffer from IBS tend to suffer from anxiety. And if you do a little bit of yoga, you might hear about the vagus nerve and stimulating the vagus nerve. Yeah. So the vagus nerve, I would say, is the highway between the brain and the gut. And it's where all your neurotransmitters are being transported, your GABA, your serotonin. I can go off on a tangent on this, by the way. So
I'm all about the vagus nerve at the Hale Clinic with lovely Ursula Gately. She's always
wonderful.
talking about the vagus nerve.
Yeah, well, I mean, I could literally talk about that all day and about all the serotonin that's being transported, you know, back and forth.
And if you massage here, that links directly into that nerve. So if you massage, a lot of us carry a lot of tension in our jaw. Yeah. So if you massage here, I know that it helps to relax the gut and stimulate everything.
And which is why hypnosis, and that's why hypnosis is so important as well, because one of the first things you do in a therapy, hypnotic session, is that you actually allow your jaw to drop. You have to you consciously start relaxing the jaw, because then that sends, it's a knock-on effect, it sends a signal to the rest of the body to start to relax and to activate that parasympathetic nervous system.
It's like open,
releasing, exactly.
It's amazing. Now, and you're obviously the walking, talking guinea pig of your own work, right? Your own program. So how have you found, since you started doing this work and using this holistic approach, how did you first of all pick and choose the bits that you wanted to add in? Was it sort of like you were just guided, the universe brought them into your sphere of influence, or did you actively go out and seek which pieces would fit in?
Well, I've had I had 2 Damascus moments, I would say, and they both occurred with, you know, my grandfather passing away. So when he passed away in 2008, I started going for Reiki sessions. And the practitioner, she was actually a counselor and a hypnotherapist. And, you know, while obviously I was seeing her, I was telling her, so I'm in banking, I really want to do something different. I feel like this has happened to me because I need to do something, you know, like what's going on at this point. Reevaluating my life, you know, losing a loved one really makes you sort of stop and pay attention to what am I actually doing. So, and she and I chatted about counselling, we talked about psychodynamic therapy, we talked about hypnosis. And, you know, she said, look, you know, she said, I've been doing all of these modalities for a number of years. She says, the one that I get the quickest results with is hypnosis. She said, because you could spend 2 years in therapy and then achieve what you need to in 6 weeks with with
We
hypnosis.
need to get into the subconscious, really,
Yes.
don't we?
Exactly, and just teach people to, again, bring that nervous system down, because it's in this hyper-vigilant state. We're in this constant state of arousal and being stimulated by our phones, by all the notifications on it, by, you know, some of us have 3 or 4 devices that, you know, if we're working, we've got an iPad, we've got a BlackBerry back in the day, I had an iPhone,
Yeah.
and a laptop, and sometimes you'd be on all 4 of them, you know, all at once.
And we're contactable. This is the thing that drives me crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good for a business, but there's never any downtime.
There
So
never is. And some
even
people
on your
text you at
weekend.
10 p.m. on a Friday night. I'm
Yeah.
like, please don't text me.
9 to 5 people.
Yeah.
It's like just,
If it's a work-related issue, please don't text me. Look,
straight into your space, straight into your face. Sunday night, 10 o'clock at night, you're sitting down,
so I have a
watching
trick.
a film or something.
I have a trick for that.
Yeah.
I turn off my notifications on the weekend,
That's a really
and then
good
that
idea.
way, if you don't want to check your phone, you don't have to. Because I used to get really distressing messages sometimes from clients who might have just begun a process,
Yeah.
and they might have been having a sort of ab reaction because, like, oh my god, they've never practiced relaxing before, or whatever's going on with them, and they're
And
like,
their stuff
have,
will inevitably come up.
and it's coming up,
Yeah.
and then at 11 o'clock they're sending me messages, and I'm like, and then I can't go to sleep.
It's
So
not fair. It's dumping on you. I always turn my if I want a break from it, sometimes I have total digital
Detox,
Like
yeah.
Sunday last night, I put the phone on charge in the bedroom, away from me and Tony, and we had a nice dinner outside in the garden, and then we sat down. I think it's really important, and it's also important for us as therapists to honour our own space and time.
Absolutely.
'Cause we're here to help people and to heal them.
Yeah.
But we can, you know, you don't want to take on their programs, their issues, their situation.
Well, it's just boundary setting, and I
Yeah.
think it's very easy for therapists and healers to want to constantly help and to always extend themselves. And with me, that's always been my problem. I always end up kind of like counseling everyone. People I sit next to on the bus, they start I'm like, do I have one of those faces? Do they just start?
Yeah,
I
it's a lovely face.
I have one of those faces. They just think I'm just going to tell you everything that's
Yeah.
going on with me.
Life story?
Life story, pretty much. Which is why I decided. I said, you know what? This is clearly something. I'm drawn to it. People are drawn to me. And I genuinely want to help them. It can get easy to get sucked in. It can get really easy to get sucked in. So that setting of boundaries is important, and it's sometimes really easy for our clients, for them to get sucked into all the stuff that they should be saying no to, rather than saying, because they're not saying yes to themselves, so they're saying yes to all these other things that are draining them, and not saying yes to the things that are actually sustaining them.
And so you work a lot with individuals. Do you work with companies as well? Do you go into corporate and actually help from the inside out still?
Yes and no. Currently, we've got 1 or 2 companies that we've been working with. Some of them are already very enlightened because they're startups. Big companies, after 10 years in that world, I know how hard it is to kind of move the dial.
Crack the mold.
Yeah, it's really, really tricky. So we've got a few select companies that that we're working with, that we've already had links with, because, like I said, Despina, Emily, and we've all kind of come from corporate. Emily was she's in Royal Bank of Scotland for several years as well, and Despina was at Morgan Stanley, and then I was at Barclays. So we've all left the whole banking thing. We've spent 2 decades or whatever, and collectively, I think between the 3 of us, it's about 40 years, of us spending time in banking. Yeah.
Wow. It's a lot of know-how from the inside.
Yeah, and just sort of knowing where to best spend our efforts. And I think right now it's really important for us to kind of work one-on-one with people. I love doing talks, so doing a talk is always one of the easiest routes in. And then people, it starts piquing their interest, and then they want to hear more. But our mission really is to kind of optimize performance if we're working with corporates, whereas when we do the kind of one-to-one work, it's more about helping people who are already unwell. So not necessarily, and obviously there's a lifestyle optimization involved in that, but with corporates, they're not necessarily all sick to begin with.
Yeah.
So some of it is about education and how you can actually think about, well, what are you doing in your everyday life that you can actually get better results from,
And is it a set program that people come in that you put them on, or is it bespoke to each individual? How do you kind of work it?
It's bespoke, to be honest. I mean, we kind of have a starting ground where we say all disease kind of begins with the gut. So during the initial sort of consultation with the practitioners, you'll usually sort of go down the gut health route to see what's going on there.
store a lot of emotion there too, don't we? It's not just about toxins, it's toxic emotions. Yeah.
Exactly. And then most likely work on cleaning that up, cleaning up what's going on in their lives, even toxins around them that they might be exposed to. A lot of people might be exposed to mold, even certain plastics can be very disruptive to hormones and all that sort of stuff. So we start looking at the whole picture, like what's going on in their everyday lives. And then again, it can be a 3-month, 6-month, 12-month kind of program, but it's dependent largely on the symptoms, how long they've had them, how quickly they, how much can they commit as well. So it's very, very bespoke at the end of the day.
I love how passionate you are too, Raewyn. It's like, you're a bit of the mad scientist, aren't you? She likes to know, she likes to go right in and find out all the little details of what makes a person tick. But how has it helped you personally? Because you've obviously, tried and tested. I'm eating my hair. It's a very windy day. You've obviously tried and tested everything that you do. So you're the poster girl for your work, I suppose. How have you changed?
I think we've all tried and tested. I mean, everyone that I've worked with, we've all had our own journey. Yeah. So that's been really important as well, to find people who were resonating on the same vibrational level, because we all know what it's like to have been unwell, or to have been, not feeling great. Or to have been around parents who haven't been feeling great as well, and being surrounded by that. So I just feel like this has always been my thing. I'll be honest with you. It's always been the way that I've viewed the world. And I think when I was 15, I started practicing yoga. Freaked my parents out completely, because they were like really Christian and they couldn't understand what I was doing with all these mantras, and I was getting into Ayurveda, and they were just like, what is going on, where should I pick this up from? And then at one point it was crystals, and I just kind of went into the whole holistic thing, and all of it was about how do you help people feel better, how do you help yourself, help yourself as well feel better. So how do you help yourself heal? And one of my mantras is, as I help my clients heal, I heal.
I love
so that's one of my personal mantras.
I do. Mine kind of works the opposite way around. The more I'm healing, the more I heal myself, the more I'm able to help others heal. But same premise. It's like that infinity symbol.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And you're just creating this beautiful loop where you're all helping each other. And it's so interesting. You always learn so much from your clients about yourself.
Well, the universe is all a mirror, isn't it? So
totally.
Do you find that something comes into your
space,
your space more than once? You're a bit like, maybe I need to go away and have a look at
that. Yeah. And you always find you're probably 1 or 2 steps just ahead of them as well, and that's why you're in that position to be able to help them. Yeah.
And what sorts of people come and see you guys? Are they people from all walks of life, or do you get a particular type of person? Or?
I think, at one point I initially thought I was only going to be working with women. I was so convinced. I was like, I'm going to be helping women with their hormones, in their 30s, to 40s. I guess feeling like, me, like people who are like me and who are looking to transition careers and actually find fulfillment and joy in their lives and that sort of thing. And I'm actually working with a lot of men, which is so ironic. I just thought, how did this happen? I didn't go out there looking for a lot of guys. And, they've all got, some of them are, I like using this expression, some of them are pretty woke. They've got a clue, because I used to sort of be like, oh, guys don't really know what's going on. They need their wives or their girlfriends to kind of push them in the right direction. But no, a lot of these men that I'm working with, they do have very supportive partners and women who are quite intuitive and very holistic as well. But they're just quite clued up on the fact that they know that they want to feel better, optimize. Some of them are not sleeping very well, have a lot of anxiety around that whole imposter syndrome thing. So a lot of city men currently.
Yeah, there's a lot of men I find at the moment that sort of need help because of that old paradigm of men kind of not expressing their emotions or not expressing themselves, not allowed to show that side of them. So it's wonderful that we now have people in place and businesses in place to help support them through that awakening as such.
I think it's nice as well that through WellWorks, there's this scientific side to it, so they really are quite drawn to that. They want to understand, okay, well, what's my DNA telling me? What's my gut health telling me? Can I, what's my cortisol saying? And then when you've got that kind of data, they're more bought into it, so it's easier to reach them that way.
Yeah, they're more rational, more logical, a lot of them are. And then but you lull them into a false sense of security.
I lull them into the woo-woo.
And you go, now we're going to do some meditation and some yoga and some oh, I love it. That's brilliant. I just love how you cover all bases. So how many of you are in the team there?
Well, it's a really interesting team. So I think initially it started off with 4 of us, and we are expanding. I'm looking at more health coaches. I also work out of a clinic in Moorgate with an amazing group of chiropractors, osteopaths, physiotherapists, personal trainers, craniosacral therapists, massage therapists. So they're body workers, but they are so clued up as well on the whole mind-body connection. So they tend to send people my way when they realize, okay, I've done as much as I can. You need to go talk to talk to me. So yeah, I mean, I think as much coverage as possible. I just like connecting with other people who are on the same wavelength, to be honest. So, you know, WellWorks will be the sort of affiliate. I always thought of it as a sort of like this affiliate and partnership, brand partnership type of enterprise. So yes, there's this one arm that's all about, you know, the one-to-ones and working with individuals, and then the corporates. But then I also love the idea of this kind of global wellness association.
It's wonderful. Are you thinking of like bigger events and things in future? What's your plan for the future?
Oh, I don't know if I can tell you all of my plans for the future.
Don't give away all your secrets.
No, not all my secrets today. But I love the idea of urban retreats. You know, that people love going away for retreats, but you know, if you can find peace in the chaos of London, then you're doing well.
Yeah,
so I would love
true.
to be able to create that kind of sanctuary or an oasis.
Well, you know, you haven't originally come from London, have you? So
no,
so
that's through the accent.
Tell us about your background, Raewyn.
That's really true. I always assume that everybody knows. But yeah, I moved here in 2001, and it's quite a journey. Culture shock and just weather shock, I think. Yeah, so I grew up in the Caribbean on an island in the sun, and moving to England was so never part of my plan.
Yeah. I think we've spoken about this before, because obviously I'm Australian, so we're both little sunshine bunnies, but
yeah.
I think London needs you because you bring that sunshine in your energy here.
Oh, you're sweet.
And I think there's something about when you've grown up on the beach in the sunshine and life is kind of chill. It generally is. A lot of people come to London, I find, for their spiritual awakening too. It's a bit of a melting pot. A lot of people are drawn here, have a big like culture shock like we've both had, have a bit of a breaking apart,
yes,
and then find their feet and then rebuild. And then most of us that come here for the spiritual journey are now really stepping out with our work and guiding others through that. So I think you bring a certain quality from every experience that you've had in life, but where you grew up I think really affects you, and it obviously has given you that sunny outlook, that really positive disposition.
Yeah, I think so. And I think also the idea of like community, because it was such a small place, and you know, learning to create community and foster good partnerships and relationships, I would say is probably one of my best strengths. You know, the people that are in my life now, they've been in my life for some of them, you know, 20, 30 years. And people that I met at the start of the journey when I was here, we were talking about a friend of mine, a physiotherapist that we met when I worked in a Pilates studio, and we're still friends, you know. It's like 15 years later, we're still friends, and that's really important to me, to be able to kind of foster those kinds of relationships and nurture them. Even though, you know, you go through various stages, you know, people get married, they have kids, you know, I've gone through some of that, not all of it, no kids. And you know, your life evolves, but it's really important to kind of keep that connection, and then to also maintain just that sort of energy, you know, that people who are on the same path, the same dharma as you. Makes sense. Yeah,
it's wonderful. So how can people find you online? What's the website, details and everything?
So hopefully we'll have that up on the screen. So it'll be WELL-works.uk, not .co.uk, just well-works.uk. It's a virtual platform that we have a fabulous online portal and an app that you can use as well.
You have an app?
Yeah,
Amazing.
we can have an app.
And I'll share all the links to this on screen and also below in the comments, so you can just click on the link and find.
Yeah, and we encourage everyone to there's a free health assessment, so you get a free complimentary half-hour session with me once you do the health assessment. And then we kind of go through the whole process of, like, you know, looking at, you know, your health score, where you can actually make some improvements if there need to be any. There are very few people who don't need to make improvements. Most of us do, and and then work out, you know, some goals around that. You know, what you can start doing now today to actually start changing things, from the whole perspective, from, you know, the nutritional side as well as, you know, what you're doing in your life. So we got an app.
Amazing. And you're planning on doing a little bit more on camera as well, aren't you?
Yes.
Or is that something you didn't want to give away?
No, it's started.
Okay.
Yeah, it has already started.
So I can share that as well, so that people can connect with you more and hear more about
the Instagram.
Yeah. So what's the Instagram address?
It's wellworks_UK.
Wellworks_UK.
Yeah, and we're on all social media. Ironically, but you gotta put because we're just talking about being like surgically attached to our phones.
I know. Yeah, obviously. And it's like suddenly you're like, how many more social media things do I have to update?
I limit it to 45 minutes a day though.
Yeah.
45 minutes. That's it. In the morning, that's when I do it, and then I'm done. I don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's it. Because otherwise, you can get so sucked in. And when I first started doing this, exactly a year ago, so it's our anniversary yesterday. That was really interesting. Thank you. That's really great actually doing this now, and I can look back. Back then I was trying to do everything myself. I didn't have a scheduler or any of that kind of stuff, and it was just sucking up life years. Yeah.
It's funny as we film this. Actually, we've just had a big Capricorn full moon. This is not when you're watching it. It probably won't be this time, but it is all about getting the practical things kind of sorted, letting go of what's not working, and making those grounded plans. I'm a Libra, and I'm not very good at doing that usually, but I found that this week I've been so organised and getting my diary sorted and booking things in, and it's good. Practical steps, and using more using technology so that it doesn't make us slaves, so that we're not a slave to it, so just learning how to use it and harness it properly. And I feel like that's a huge thing for the 21st century right now, because some of the people who created all of this technology, the Bill Gates and the Steve Jobs of the world, they wouldn't allow their children on iPads and those things. They wouldn't allow them because they knew how detrimental it was to their psychological health. We see more and more cases of young people with anxiety, and a lot of it is down to the fact that they are glued to devices. Living in the real world.
No,
exactly. Like The Sims and stuff.
Yeah.
People get really addicted to it. And
you're not interacting and learning how to foster good relationships with people either.
And then you see kids at concerts and they're holding up their phone, watching the concert through the phone. It's all detached, desensitized.
And it's the same thing for even for love and romance. We can't connect with people anymore the way that we used to. Nothing happens organically. It's got to be through an app. It's crazy. It's really crazy.
I'm happy to say I didn't meet my husband online. I don't think I would have gone down that route. I did try it, and I was like, it's not for me.
Yeah, likewise. No. Definitely not.
You need to meet. You need to know. Like, there's something in a connection with people. Our emotional intelligence is so much bigger than we realise.
Yeah, and your intuition. You need to be able to tune into that.
You feel it.
Yeah, you need to be able to tap into it.
You probably can, but it's a bit harder.
It's a little bit harder. To initially kind of connect with anyone that way. It's weird.
Speaking of connections, I love how we met. So obviously, you were on holiday in Cannes, wasn't it?
So should we tell that story?
Yeah, I think we should. I think she'd like it anyway.
Yeah, this is a good story. So Al's sister, Gabby, was on the beach in Cannes while I was on the beach in Cannes. And I was supposed to have gone with a friend who cancelled on me at the last minute, but I already had my tickets booked. So I thought, well, screw it. I'm just going to go and chill out for 4 days on the beach. I don't care if it's by myself. I'm sure I'll meet people. And sure enough, Gabby was on the beach, and a lovely other girl called Claire Neelan, also from Australia, and the three of us were trying to take selfies of ourselves. We were like, we had our little towels or whatever, and we're spread out across the beach. I just looked over and I was like, do you want me to take a photo of you? And they're like, yes, please. So we started all taking photos of each other, and then we ended up going out for drinks and dinner. And Gabby kept saying, she says, you remind me so much of my sister Al. I was like, well, what does your sister do? And she says, oh, she's this angelic Reiki healer, and she does theta DNA. And I said, theta DNA? I've heard all about that. And I would love to know more about it. I was like, where is she? And she says, oh, and she told me where you lived. I said, that's 10 minutes walk away from my flat.
We were really close, weren't
we were 10 minutes walk away from my flat. So the second I got back to London, I think I contacted you, and by the end of that week I'd had my first theta session. And then my life transformed I always tell everyone when I refer people, because I refer a lot of people
She
on.
does.
I
She's
do. I just send
amazing.
people her way.
How do you tell people what I do? I don't, because I don't use theta anymore. I have my own kind of way
Yeah.
of working.
What do I say? I tell them, I said she works with energy and she helps you shift through and clear massive blocks in your life so you can accelerate your spiritual growth.
Oh my God! Can you write that down for me?
It's recorded.
I'm going to transcribe that. I have a friend of mine, Crystal. She just says, "You're magical." She goes, "I don't know how to say what you do, but you're magical."
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Accelerate your spiritual growth. Go see Al if you
Yeah.
want to accelerate. She'll just shift through it and help you.
It's just multi-layered.
Yeah, multi-layered.
multi-dimensional.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
wonderful. But I think you and I, we come from like all spectrums. I do, like I'm traveling through the multi-dimensional layers and the realms, and you do the more grounded approach here, but we kind of meet in the middle with the energy work. I
Yeah,
think.
but
Yeah.
I've always dabbled in energy work anyway,
Yeah.
and interestingly enough, someone that I've worked with a very long time ago, he's very into that kind of stuff now, and he said, "Do you want me to teach you?" And I said, "Well, I'm really busy." He said, "It's okay, so we could just do it like one weekend, one day on a weekend or something." And I was like, "I'd love to."
Yeah.
So that one's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's like your work will always evolve,
Evolve.
and you'll be adding more strings to your bow. I think this is the thing with all of us. We always go through an evolution. Like when you
Yeah.
and I first met, the way I work is really different to
Different.
how I worked then. And I think this is the key thing about being into this kind of self-development, energy, healing, medicine, all of that, the holistic approach to everything, is that we have to make sure that we don't get stuck, that we're always
Growing.
staying on top of it and growing and evolving because people are growing and evolving and consciousness is growing and evolving. So
And that's the thing. I think the more that we tune into that, the easier it becomes, and more things come our way.
Yeah.
So things start flowing your
Yeah.
way. So I was just chatting with him last night. He said, "Oh, how are you?" He said, "I've been thinking about you. I think you should do this thing." And I was like, "Oh, that's really nice." I said, "I would love to.
Yeah.
I would love to learn," because he has his own kind of version of healing.
Wow.
And I worked with him a few years ago, several years ago, and it's not quite theta. I'm not really exactly sure what it is.
We're
It's
all developing our own techniques, I think, now. There's a lot of people sort of downloading techniques.
Yes. Yeah.
And just channeling it.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
But again, creating profound shifts, like very
Yeah.
quick,
Yeah.
very quick shifts. Because I think when I'd met you, I was feeling quite stuck. I'd just been coming out of a marriage. I was in this job. I wasn't really happy. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't believe that I could actually help people and get paid for
Look
it.
at you now.
That was the thing. I had this
Yeah.
belief system. My family, bless them, they're really Christian, and they just kind of think, well, you don't really work and do things that you love. You work and you get paid. And then if you do things that you love, it's like stuff on the side. You do charity work on the side, or you sing on the side. Because I used to be a musician, and
It's that
I had this
we
whole
suffer for everybody.
Yeah. So you work, and by the sweat of your brow. That was it. It was never supposed to be about living life with joy. But you can live life with joy and do what you love and feel happy every day, I think.
And spend a Monday in the park.
In the park.
In the
the
beautiful
sunshine.
sunshine. I was like, I did it weirdly, miraculously. Not. Well, yeah, it's a blessing actually. Today that I didn't have any clients booked in, so I was.
You have time.
I've got time.
Yeah.
I'm going to have time for myself today. It's
Yeah, and I've not
wonderful.
seen anyone until after lunch, so it worked out really well.
Works out brilliant.
Yeah, really, really well.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, so I love it. Universal connections. It's a multi-layered, multi-dimensional world, and this lady, she will take you through your proverbial paces, I suppose, but in a loving way, in a way that is holistic for your absolute best and total good, to help you unfold and to help you heal and to help you get on your feet without breaking your back, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Well works. It's like make your work well for you.
Yeah. That was the idea behind it,
Yeah.
and that wellness works. That lifestyle optimization is, it's possible, it's achievable, you know, and you don't have to go all in straight away.
Yeah.
We'll take you through it slowly and work at your pace and work with what works for you.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what it's about. It's that whole personalized approach.
That's the thing. There's not ever a one
Size.
quick fix it, is there?
One size fits all does not work, and I think we tried that, in 2011. Tried that with in banking, creating these blanket kind of programs. doesn't work. Personalization is where it's at.
Yeah, because we're all unique, right?
Exactly.
Oh, well, listen, unique human being.
Thank you.
It's so wonderful to have you on the show, and it's great to catch up with you too, Ray. So just to remind everybody that the website is well-works.uk, not .co.uk, and I will share all the links below, but for now I just want to say thank you all for watching, and Miss Raewyn Guerrero, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Al.
Give you a hug.